So, Tuesday night was a historic night for Northern Ireland football as they qualified for a major championship for the first time. A 2-0 win over Ukraine gave them a 4-1 victory on aggregate. To put that into context, Northern Ireland disbanded their women's team at the turn of the century, only got back together in 2004, and it means they're going to be at next year's European Championship finals in England. I'm joined on the line by the Northern Ireland manager, Kenny Shiels. Evening, Kenny.
Evening, how are you?
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
You've had a long old managerial career, stretching 30 years at this stage. I'd say Tuesday night was one of the best nights.
Yeah, it was really up there. It was a fantastic achievement by the girls, and I think they give every ounce of energy that they had. They couldn't have done any more or given any more. An absolute credit to their country.
It has been put up there as an enormous shock and surprise because of Northern Ireland's ranking, because of the players that you have available, most of them part-time footballers. Were you surprised?
Yeah, I was surprised not how well we did, but how much we were able to control both games, especially Ukraine being so much ahead of us, but we took control of it. I thought tactically over the two games we were very good in terms of looking at ways in which we could beat them, because, they've got what we would call better players than us, but I think we were the better team in both games.
You must be delighted then from a tactical point of view as to how it worked out. How difficult is it, particularly in these COVID times, when you're going up against a team like Ukraine, to get across what you want tactically, where I'd imagine there's probably limited time, face-to-face time with the players. Camps are very different from what you would have imagined as an international coach it would be, where you try and build a bond, you try and build an atmosphere. That, from everything we hear from all international camps, is quite difficult. So to get your message across for the players and for them to be able to implement it must give you enormous satisfaction.
It gives me great satisfaction because you see girls, you see the players being so happy at what they do, and you feel as if you've made a contribution to that, and that's where I get a lot of my satisfaction from. And it is football after all, and you have to be detailed in how you present your style of play and how you want to play. And I spoke with Vera, the Republic of Ireland manager. I spoke with her video analyst, Andy, and they were supportive. They tried to help me as much as they could, and I was very grateful for that.
There's obviously, when the Republic of Ireland players, I'm sure, were watching on Tuesday night, a lot of frustration from their point of view, because there was a sense against Ukraine in particular that they had left it behind. What was it that Vera, what pointers was she able to give you? Because that was a game, I guess, that Ireland felt they should have won. Yeah,
well, she gave me some pointers, but I thought it was best to do it from video analysis to video analysis, because they work in that department, and my video analysis has done a great job, and we were very looking at the thin margins and trying to make sure that we give the girls as much information as we possibly could. And we went into really, really deep details, and because with so many domestic players just training with us, they knew exactly what we had to do and which way we had to do it and to.
Talk about the level then the players are at. I know there are a lot of injuries in there as well. There were a lot of issues around the game, and somebody like Rachel Furness, who'd be one of the more experienced players, that you didn't have everybody available all of the time. Those domestic players, in terms of the level they're at compared to the Ukrainian players, compared to what they're going to get up against in a year's time at the Euros finals, is the local domestic level maybe at a higher level than you expected?
Yes, I thought our domestic level they're doing a great job in bringing the players through for us. We have to work with them in a way in which they play to our style of play. And in the second game, in fact, in both games against Ukraine, we took a little bit off our attacking style and added it to our defending systems. And I felt it helped us so much, because normally we would play right through the units and try to be inventive and creative. And we took some of the stuff off the top of that and put a lot of emphasis, especially in the second game, where we were in this bizarre situation where if we lose 1-0, we go through. So rather than create mixed messages for the players, we spoke about if we win the match, we're through, instead of saying if we lose 1-0, we're through, because that's a very dangerous approach if you look at trying to lose 1-0 or by 1 goal. So we played the first half without them scoring, was our first goal. To restrict their movement and shut down all their spaces in those key areas of the pitch. And I felt we really achieved that. And then in the second half, we upped the game. We started to get more movements to the front, and you could see us gradually taking over the match. And I felt that's what we did.
Have you always been that pragmatic manager who, if the opposition, as it changes, you will willingly adjust your style, or are you a bit more idealistic at times that actually I have a style of play that I want my teams to go out with? And well, clearly with Northern Ireland you have been willing to change. Have you always been like that?
Yeah, because I think it's arrogant to put the team out and say things like, this is the way we play. It doesn't matter how they play. If we play to our strengths, we can win. We weren't in a position to do that. If you're playing the Faroe Islands, you can take that attitude and that approach. But our main aim was to nullify areas of the pitch where they were very good. Like Apanashenko, for example, is a very good player. With over 60 goals, she scored against us out there. So we had to frustrate her as much as we could. Kravitz is where the source. We had to stop that source coming from Kravitz, and we achieved that. So we took the two main weapons out of their game, and we worked on our goalkeeper a lot, where she comes for crosses, and she did fantastically well. She hadn't a shot to save the whole match, which was testament to the performance of the players.
And I guess, well, the results showed that it worked, but that late red card as well for the Ukrainian player, that is the video that's gone viral from the match. It was such a cynical foul, probably showed that you got to them mentally as well, that their heads, it seemed, were just gone.
We never give them a second on the ball in the second half. In the first half, we dropped off the game a little bit more, but in the second half, we were right and around them, and they had no space to do anything. They couldn't even hit their long balls. And the work ethic and the work rate of the players helped us to achieve that. But the sending off, it should have been 2 red cards if there was such a thing.
It's one of the more bizarre fouls I've ever seen, because it didn't look like she might actually win the ball. But clearly, as you say, mentally just wanted to leave a mark maybe on one of the Northern Ireland players, and listen, you got the win. Obviously, Northern Ireland's in a different position to the Republic at the moment in terms of COVID and vaccinations. Were you able to celebrate?
Yeah, well, between you and me, no, I'm only joking.
Go on.
We had a small celebration.
Okay.
And it was very good. The girls were happy, and we were happy, and the staff were happy. Everybody was in a really, really good mood. The IFA put us on a meal and looked after us very well. So yes, we did have a couple of jars, but not many.
Good man, good man. What was the dressing room like at full time? Because this is an incredible achievement for the players. How were they in the dressing room afterwards?
They were unbelievable. They were the tears was tripping them. And the staff the same. They couldn't hold back their emotions because it was such a journey. Like, by the time the Euros finish, it will have been a 3-year league or a 3-year campaign, because that there is, it's incredible what the girls have done. because they were so much the underdogs.
What were your expectations when you took the job? As I mentioned, you've obviously had a very long career and had success in Scotland with Kilmarnock and most recently at Derry City. And as far as I'm aware, you were in the mix for the men's job as well after Michael O'Neill left. What were your expectations? Because it's been thrown out there a lot that the team disbanded. It is 20 years ago at this stage. It's back 16 years, and you've spoken about the conveyor belt that's starting to come through from underage level at Northern Ireland. Did you know a lot about what the women's team could achieve? What were your thoughts when you first got the job?
Well, first thing I had to do was, there was post trauma in the girls. They were they felt traumatized and things weren't right for them. And
in what way?
I had to do so many things about their mental state. I had to help them to start enjoying themselves. I had to give them encouragement, and I'm not saying all of us, the staff and everybody that mucked in and did a really good job on the psychology of the team. And I felt that was the starting block, and we didn't set big targets. I put 2 words up in the big board when we went into our first meeting, and I put up trust was 1 word, and the other word was integrity. And I explained to them at that meeting that if we can keep those 2, because you can't have one, because if you don't have trust, you lose the integrity. If you don't have integrity, you lose the trust. So we put that up, and we worked off that as our template. That was our template and our war cry in everything we did. So there was no grey areas. It just created an environment where there was no grey areas, no areas of doubt, no areas where I don't trust her, I don't trust him. That eliminated the whole thing. So what it created was a team dynamic. So from the team dynamic, we worked in the chemistry of it, and anybody that comes in new, I tell them this story, that they have to fall into that psyche, and that's what we are. That's our emblem. That's how we advance as people. And, to see them laughing and having fun and screaming their heads off with satisfaction and pleasure and all of those things that you want in life, they brought it all out. They just broke down at the end of the game, and I thought it was a really momentous moment for them and for me myself as well to really enjoy that period after the game, to feel that we have achieved something big, and it was something big.
Yeah, it sure is something big. It's very rare that a manager goes into a job when a team is flying, when a team in a dressing room is full of confidence, because usually managers end up leaving when a club is at a low ebb. So when you look at the dressing room you went into and compare it to dressing rooms you've gone into over the last 3 decades, and you're talking about the mentality there and the mental state, were you surprised by how low the confidence was, how many issues there were within that dressing room?
Yeah, I'd heard stories. I didn't believe them, but when I got there, I certainly believed them. There was a lot of bad stories, and I had to try and provoke some positivity and get them to, I had to really come across to the players. I knew I had to, as a strong personality, and I realized that they needed me. I knew that I was good for them. But that's very singular, and it's very big-headed of me to say that. But I'm just giving you what my deep thoughts were at that time. I'm no better than anybody else. But in the same token, I had that perception that there was issues, and I attacked them straight away, head on, individual meetings, the whole lot. And I think they knew that they've got something to aim for, and they knew the pathway that I was trying to create for them. They knew it, very, very quickly.
What were the issues?
They're just, I can't say too much because it comes back to haunt you, but there was issues, nothing too cloak and dagger, but more oppression and things like that, where the girls weren't given space to do things. They weren't allowed to do so many things. It was the COVID before the COVID. In June 19, there was restrictions and we had to we had to take the shackles off them, basically.
Yeah. Because most of them are amateur players and quite a few of them have day jobs, how different is it then in comparison to managing at Derry or managing at Kilmarnock? And you do have to let them go. You don't have total control of the players. They have to live their life because quite literally it is their livelihood outside of football.
Very much so. But I had previous experience in from 2000 to 2008. I took Northern Ireland under-17s, and in those 8 years, the last 6 of them, we qualified for the elite stage. So I had experience with international periods of in, out. You're not working week to week. And we were the smallest nation ever to get to at that time, the Euros. We got to the finals of the boys under-17s. And I used a lot of stuff that I used then, building the confidence. And they're playing against players like Fabregas and, the top players in the world were playing in those finals. There was only 7 teams qualified. Northern Ireland were one of them. So I felt big about that. And I learned so much from that experience because it's the only time that they've qualified as well. But you're working with a new batch each year. And I felt that was a great opportunity for me, and it helped me when I went to the women's. I felt
it is one of the difficulties you now face is that it's a long wait until the finals themselves, and I think Northern Ireland are going in as the first country. They'll be the only debutants at the tournament in England next year. There's World Cup qualifiers. I think the draw is at the end of this month, and they're going to take place September, October, November. There's a lot of games, whereas generally you qualify and that is the group that you bring to the finals because it's a short gap. There's a possibility here that unfortunately for a lot of these players, they may not get to the finals. That you, I'm sure, will be hoping that over the next year or so that a lot of more players emerge.
Yeah, of course. I'm working with the 19s. That's another thing that I do. I bring the 19s into the senior team to train with us so that they're getting education. They're playing against along with the top players in the country, so their game is kicking on. So I'm preparing for the future as well. I've got the under-19 girls in around us every session.
What are you looking for then at the finals? Do you want the big draw? Do you want England? I know you played them recently in a friendly, which gave you a good insight into where they are, a chance against the hosts. What are you hoping for?
Well, I looked at the pots today, and in pot number 1, there's England, France, Germany, and Holland. So those 4 will be in 4 different groups. And one of them will be in our group. And then pot 2 is Sweden and those other top nations. And then in our pot, we're the lowest seed, so we're in pot 4. So our 3 opponents will be from pot 1, 2, and 3, which is the upper echelons. So, the task is enormous. And I bet you if you looked at the betting on it now, it would definitely be in treble figures. So it's going to be a big ask to qualify from the group stages, but hey, why not? It's over a year away, and we've got a lot of time to work with them, and we will try our best to be our best.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot to look forward to. It is, before we let you go, it is a family affair as well. Your son Dean, who people remember as a player around the League of Ireland and who was with you at Kilmarnock as well, is involved. I think he's going on his own managerial journey as well, just starting out right now with Dungannon. What advice are you passing on to him?
He knows the game inside out. He's a very, very modern coach, and he's doing the same as I did, because when I went in at the start at Carrick Rangers in 1991, 92, I played out from the back then, and we built through the units. We made mistakes, we lost matches, and then we came good after we won the County Antrim Shield after the first year. And he's taken over Dungannon. He's doing the same. He's taking a beating at the early stages, but the players are learning. I can see a mirror image of what I did, and he's up for. He plays very developmental, and the players are getting better. So over the period, he'll do well.
He was happy, was he, despite that young idealism, to go with the more pragmatic approach against Ukraine?
Yeah, he's happy with it. He sets up good. He gives them good education on it and what their requirements are.
Yeah. Well, listen, it all worked out very nicely indeed, Kenny, and you got a lot to look forward to over the next 15 months or so ahead of that, starting with the draw as well. Hopefully it's a favourable draw, but no matter who you get, there's going to be some really enjoyable games in there as well. Congratulations again, Kenny. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much. Thank you.